Imagine two coworkers, John and Michael. They've spent 30 years working at the same company, often sitting in the same break room discussing their plans for the future. Their financial profiles look identical. They've earned nearly the same salary for 3 decades, and they share the same retirement dreams. They both plan to claim their Social Security benefits in the same year, assuming the system will provide them with the exact same monthly check. To an outside observer or a data analyst, their financial lives are indistinguishable. On paper, their retirement trajectories appear identical, resting on the assumption that their similar careers will lead to the same result. However, a single detail separates their outcomes, a detail that rarely comes up in casual conversation. John was born in December of 1959. Michael was born just a few weeks later, in January of 1960. This difference of a few weeks changes how the Social Security system calculates their benefits. In the eyes of the Social Security Administration, this brief chronological gap places the two men into different regulatory categories. The transition from 1959 to 1960 is the specific threshold that changes the Social Security calculation. This line is the marker the system uses to determine your full retirement age and set the baseline for your monthly check. Your birth year provides the structural foundation for your retirement strategy. Understanding this requires looking at cohort differences, hidden thresholds, and specific filing windows. A retiree's experience when they finally click claim depends on the mechanics assigned to their birth year. This analysis is for educational purposes, focusing on structural rules and system mechanics rather than personal financial advice. We are not making promises of larger checks or guaranteed outcomes. Every individual situation is unique, and you should verify your specific details with the Social Security Administration or a qualified professional. Our goal today is to map the terrain so you know what to look for in the system. When people consider Social Security timing, they usually focus on their current age. The choice is often framed around 3 specific milestones: claiming at 62, waiting for full retirement age, or delaying until 70. While these choices involve patience and cash flow, they overlook the variable the system looks at first. The system identifies your birth year before it processes your current age. Your year of birth dictates the specific formula used to calculate your primary insurance amount, the base value of your benefit. This means your claiming strategy depends on the baseline established by your birth year. For those born in 1960 or later, the full retirement age is set at 67. For anyone born before 1960, the rules change. The full retirement age scales based on the exact year you were born. Because the full retirement age moves, early reduction penalties hit your monthly check differently. This structural difference also affects the delayed retirement credits you receive for waiting past your full retirement age. Your birth year creates a mathematical reality that can catch retirees off guard, changing the questions you need to ask before you file. Many retirees operate under the assumption that Social Security applies a uniform standard to everyone, provided they claim their benefits at the same age. Consider 2 people, one born in 1958 and one born in 1960. Both decide to begin taking their benefits at age 62, the earliest possible opportunity. This chart shows the disparity in their checks. The person born in 1958 sees their benefit reduced by nearly 28%. The person born in 1960, claiming at that same age, takes a 30% permanent reduction. The younger claimant receives a deeper penalty despite taking the exact same action as the older claimant. The Social Security system relies on a series of distinct operational rulebooks. Which set of rules applies to you is a matter of administrative timing. The specific rulebook you are assigned is determined entirely by the year you were born. Your birth year sets the parameters for the system's internal math, defining the structural boundaries of your retirement benefits. For decades, the system used a single baseline. The full retirement age was set at exactly 65. In 1983, Congress passed amendments to address the system's long-term funding. These changes introduced a phased-in increase to the full retirement age. For those born between 1943 and 1954, the full retirement age shifted to 66. Starting in 1955, the age increased by 2 months every subsequent year. This escalation stops at 1960, where the age is set permanently at 67. The 1983 legislation established a different structural finish line for younger cohorts, ensuring that the 1960 boundary remained a permanent fixture. The full retirement age serves as the anchor point for the benefit calculation. This is the moment you become entitled to 100% of your primary insurance amount. Claiming before this date triggers a reduction formula that applies to every month remaining until you reach your specific age anchor. For the 1958 cohort, the anchor point is 66 and 8 months. Claiming at 62 means filing 4 years and 8 months early. The 1960 cohort's anchor is 67. Claiming at 62 puts them 5 full years early, increasing the reduction. The location of this anchor point also affects the delayed retirement credits earned by waiting past your full retirement age. These 8% annual increases stop accumulating for everyone once they reach age 70. This chart shows the window available to earn those credits. The 1958 cohort has over 3 years to accumulate growth, while the 1960 cohort has only 3 years before hitting the age 70 limit. Moving the full retirement age simultaneously increases the penalty for early filing and limits the time available to maximize the benefit through delayed credits. Beyond the full retirement age, the year you turn 60 triggers a separate calculation that impacts your future check. To calculate benefits, the system takes your highest 35 years of earnings and adjusts them based on the National Average Wage Index. This indexing process concludes in the year you reach age 60. Earnings from age 60 onward are recorded at their nominal value. This means the economic conditions of that specific year provide the final snapshot for your wage indexing. Your birth year dictates the age you reach 100% funding, the depth of early filing penalties, the length of the growth window, and the point where your wages are no longer indexed. Understanding where these boundaries are located is the only way to manage the math that Congress established for your birth cohort.
When we need to figure out how to behave, we naturally look to the people right next to us. We watch our friends, our siblings, and our coworkers. In retirement planning, this instinct creates what we can call the peer group illusion. If your older brother retired early and seems to be doing fine, or your neighbor waited a few extra years because they believed they hit the magic number, it is easy to assume those same strategies will work for you. Relying on the anecdotal experience of people in slightly different birth cohorts is a fast track to financial miscalculation. You are likely playing by completely different rules. This reliance on the past is especially obvious when we look at the age of 65. For generations, 65 was culturally ingrained as the absolute standard for retirement. It is the age when Medicare kicks in, and historically, it was the exact point when Social Security paid out full, unreduced benefits. The number feels inherently safe. Yet, the current Social Security system ignores cultural norms and sibling experiences. The mechanics of the program operate on strict individual birth years. Millions of Americans still use that traditional milestone as their target, unaware that their specific birth year has moved the goalposts. They are flying blind into a massive financial decision. To see how severe this divide is, we have to look at the exact math separating two siblings born only a few years apart. This chart shows the baseline payout for someone born in 1954. Their full retirement age was exactly 66. When they claimed at 62, they took a 25% reduction. Now, look at someone born in 1960 who makes that exact same age 62 claim. Because their full retirement age is higher, their reduction is 30%. That leaves an invisible 5% gap between two people making the exact same decision. Over a 20-year retirement, that gap compounds. As the months pass, the deficit grows wider. By the end of that period, failing to account for that specific birth year rule results in tens of thousands of dollars in lost income. This brings us back to the age of 65. For anyone born today, claiming at that traditional milestone is almost always an early claim. This timeline illustrates the reality for the 1960 cohort. Hitting 65 actually results in a permanent 13.3% penalty. Between the 1955 and 1960 cohorts, the full retirement age began moving in 2-month increments, shifting from 66 and 2 months toward 67. This creeping timeline of months and fractions often feels like too much complexity to manage. It creates a practical incentive to just throw in the towel, claim at 62, and be done with it. The system's structural complexity pushes people into the path of least resistance. Unfortunately, that path carries the steepest financial penalties. This misunderstanding creates a cascade of second-order consequences, specifically regarding spousal and survivor benefits. The higher-earning spouse's choice of starting date dictates the permanent baseline for the surviving spouse's future income. If a husband born in 1960 claims at 62 to get the money flowing, he accepts a 30% reduction. If he passes away first, his widow will inherit that exact same reduced check for the rest of her life. The penalty tied to his specific birth year is passed down, permanently suppressing the household's survivor income. There is also an unpredictable vulnerability built into the math that retirees almost completely ignore: the macroeconomic environment of a single calendar year. This graph shows how the wage indexing factor works. Because your lifetime earnings are indexed to the national average wage in the exact year you turn 60, an economic recession in that specific year can permanently depress your benefit calculation. Your baseline retirement income is vulnerable to the random economic weather of a year dictated purely by your birth date. We saw this with the notch babies in the past, and it remains a structural quirk today. The danger of the birth year rule is that it operates quietly in the background. It is an unyielding mathematical structure. It does not send you an alert or a warning label. It simply runs the math based on the year on your birth certificate, and it outputs a permanently reduced number. If you do not understand how that number was generated, the false comfort of thinking your situation is identical to a peer's becomes the exact blind spot the system will penalize. To protect your household wealth, you have to stop looking sideways at your neighbors. You have to chart your course using the exact mathematical coordinates of your own birth year. When we talk about retirement, it is easy to focus entirely on that first monthly check, but you are stepping into a vast 25-year landscape. As you navigate this terrain, the ground rules of Social Security do not remain constant. They shift based entirely on the year you were born. This is why the common instinct to ask an older sibling or a retired neighbor for guidance is so risky. The math that worked for their cohort is often incorrect for yours. Following their timeline can result in a permanent reduction of your lifetime income. You have to isolate your planning from the noise of the crowd. Before you lock in any filing dates, you need to rebuild your strategy from the ground up, starting with your specific birth year. Securing your future requires focusing on your distinct mathematical reality rather than gathering general wisdom. The first step in that process is pinpointing your exact full retirement age, or FRA, down to the month. You cannot guess, and you cannot round up or down. Born between 1955 and 1959, you are in a transitional window. Your target is age 66, plus specific additional months. For those born in 1960 or later, that scale ends. Your full retirement age is permanently 67. These coordinates dictate your lifetime benefit. Claiming even 1 month before your exact date triggers a permanent penalty, while waiting a month past it earns you a delayed credit. This leads to the second step, establishing your cohort. Before discussing strategies with anyone, you must first ask, what year were you born? If their birth year does not match yours, their advice is mathematically incompatible with your specific coordinates. Step 3 requires calculating the true compounding cost of claiming early. We have to look past the dollar amount on the initial check and focus on the precise percentage of the reduction. For the 1960 cohort targeting age 62, the reduction is a permanent 30%. Multiply that over a 25-year life expectancy to see the total cost. This cut also permanently reduces the survivor benefit, handicapping your spouse's income for life. None of this math holds up without Step 4, verifying the historical earnings data held by the Social Security Administration. The administration indexes your highest 35 years of earnings to the year you turn 60. Your calculation relies entirely on the accuracy of those past records. You need to log on to the official website, pull your statement, and actively hunt for any zeros or missing years in your work history. A cohort strategy only works if the underlying data is accurate. If there is a mistake in your historical record, your plan is flawed from the start. The ultimate takeaway here is a shift in perspective. Asking the system, when should I claim, is too generic a question to yield a useful answer. The question you should be asking is, given my specific birth year, my exact FRA, and my unique reduction penalties, what is the optimal timeline for my family? Your birth year defines the rigid boundaries of your planning window.
You cannot accurately project your future until you have mapped those specific edges. By identifying these boundaries, mapping your penalties, and ignoring outdated advice, you take control of the timeline. You stop guessing and start planning with precision. If you value this level of detailed breakdown, you belong at the Social Security Timing Desk. We deconstruct the system's mechanisms so you can see exactly how the internal gears function. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and join our community to analyze these gears with us. We are constantly analyzing the rules and the blind spots that affect your retirement. Subscribe today and let's continue mapping these requirements together.